Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into this really bizarre, neon-soaked world of a game called Paradise Killer. We've looked at a pretty detailed review, and our mission really is to figure out what makes its world and its mystery so, compelling, even though it sounds like it throws some real challenges at you. So picture this. You're dropped onto this isolated island. Looks amazing, apparently, but there's been a horrific murder. Your job: solve who killed Paradise. That's the central question. But here's the kicker. The game doesn't just ask you to solve the crime. It kind of forces you to understand this completely alien reality first.
Yeah, and that's what's really fascinating, right? Our sources describe Paradise Killer as, well, it immediately just flips your assumptions. You're playing as investigator Lady Love Dies. It's sort of an adventure game, but with open world bits, and it's absolutely designed to make you feel a bit lost, but also really curious right from the get-go.
Okay, let's talk about that disorientation then. The review we read really praises its top-notch world building.
Yeah.
It says the amount of info hitting you in just the first 30 minutes is like on a different level compared to other games or even TV shows or books. How do they even build a world that dense that initially feels overwhelming but then somehow pulls you right in?
Well, it seems like that's very much a deliberate choice. Unlike your typical detective story where the world feels familiar, Paradise Killer makes you piece together everything all at once. Not just whodunit, but like, what is this place? Who even are you, the protagonist? What are the rules here? This hand-holding free approach, as the review calls it, it's not just about difficulty. It actually elevates the whole detective experience for you, the player. You're not just solving a pre-made puzzle, you're basically building the puzzle box itself as you go.
Wow, that's a bold way to design a mystery game. And speaking of solving things, the actual investigation sounds pretty unique too. It's first-person exploring, right? But without needing super fast reflexes or tricky timing. Instead, it demands like extreme attention to detail, finding tiny bits of evidence, solving these simple shape-matching puzzles. And this bit really caught my eye. Every single character, and they sound wild, like a deer-faced idol or a skeleton bartender. Every one is a potential suspect, hiding secrets. So you're really playing detective, earning your keep with your feet, exploring this island, which is apparently just right size, lots to see, but not overwhelmingly huge.
Exactly. And that exploration, it's massively boosted by the game's whole aesthetic. The sources mentioned these really distinct graphics and this Vaporwave soundtrack. That kind of nostalgic, synthy, often neon-drenched sound. Apparently it creates this eerie sense of floating while you play. The review even specifically calls out the ending theme as a must-listen. Oh, and it mentions a perfect Japanese translation, too, which suggests a lot of care went into crafting this whole bizarre vibe.
It sounds incredibly atmospheric. But okay, the review also flags some real hurdles. This isn't an easy game to just jump into. And the difficulty isn't just like hard puzzles. It's really about getting your head around the worldview, values, and concepts, which can be pretty overwhelming at first, apparently. Plus, there are minimal hints for finding clues. You really, really have to explore thoroughly. No skipping corners.
Right. Which brings us to something pretty crucial about player agency, how much control you feel you have. The game doesn't have chapters or clear sections. All the events are closely intertwined, which, makes it hard to find a natural place to stop playing for a bit. And maybe even more significantly, the ending, when you point the finger at the culprit, it may not have a set correct answer. You have to make a judgment call based on your digging and the circumstantial stuff you found. And the source does note that, well, some people might find unsatisfying. It asks you to be okay with ambiguity.
Huh. So you could get to the end and still not be 100% sure. Interesting. But despite that initial maybe fatigue from processing this whole new world, the review ultimately says it's absolutely worth it. It argues the game skillfully leverages the characteristics of the media, meaning it works because it's an interactive game. You couldn't get the same effect from just reading a book about it or watching a video. It's built for you to explore and discover.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, what Paradise Killer seems to suggest is, well, that real understanding, it often comes not from just being told things, but from actually getting your hands dirty, discovering, putting the pieces together yourself, even when the final picture isn't perfectly clear-cut. So maybe a question for you listening is, what does that tell you about how you prefer to learn and figure things out, both in games and maybe, in general?
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. Really makes you think, doesn't it? So if you're intrigued by a mystery that kind of lets you build your own truth, the review mentions it's about around 10 hours long, so you could potentially knock it out with 2 days off.
Definitely sounds like it's worth a deep dive for yourself if you're up for the challenge.